Uncontained, making space, cultivating grace. Word of the day. Filling space, converging minds on the same page. Every day, every way. Yeah. Be alright, be alright. Life is strange, full of pain. Joy and happiness is all the same. But you have to reclaim. Become your best self. Stop tripping off what people say. Don't you know it's gonna be a brighter day, brighter day, brighter day, brighter day. Lift your hands. Do it, y'all. Come on, better, 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 better. Better days are coming. Better days are coming. Better, 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 better. Man, what is going on, everybody? What is going on? Y'all know what it is. It's Wade's Word of the Day. Yeah, Wade's Word of the Day. So grateful and thankful to be in the space with each and every one of you. I see you all who are making your way into the space. Do me a favor. Tag somebody. Tag somebody. Tell them to come on into the space. It is, in fact, that's right, Duchess, Wellness Wednesday. And we are, in fact, excited about it. We think we got a good show for you all, a great conversation. There'll be opportunity for you to pop in and share or ask a question to us. As we get to the end of the program, we'll definitely drop the link, and it's just a simple click. You can come right on into the screen, or you can post your comments in the comment section. But what I need you to do right now, I need you to hit the heart button, hit the like button. Take 30 seconds of our time and just go crazy with that real quick. If you don't mind, we certainly would appreciate it. Make sure that you're connecting with us in all of our spaces as well, that you're over there on the YouTube side, that you're there on the Facebook side as well. And we are certainly grateful and thankful for each and every one of you. All right, somebody give me a sound check. I just want to make sure my sound is coming through the way that it needs to be coming through as well. If that's all right. Yeah, go ahead and give me a quick sound check. And I'm doing what I'm asking you all to do. Y'all know how we do it. Yeah. All right. All right. I think we are where we need to be. So let's go ahead and get it started. Yeah, it's Wellness Wednesday, everybody. Wow, what is going on? It's Wellness Wednesday. We are grateful and thankful to be in the space once again with my friend, Leanna Winstead, Sister Sony. Big ups to you. Thank you for coming into the space to hang out with us again for another Wellness Wednesday.
What's going on?
What is going on? What is going on? Hey, you know what we do. Hey, take your first 30 seconds. Go ahead and talk to the people.
Hi, everybody. Number one, I hope you're staying cool. Number two, what's good? What's popping? Abundance to you. I hope you had a really good week so far. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. We are excited to be in the space and in the place. Remember, hey, we're asking everyone, you got one more week, one more week. Make sure that you go over to the YouTube side and make sure that you're getting connected to Pastor R.D. Wade and also LHBC, Long Hill Bible Church. Make sure you subscribe to those channels and that you also hit the bell so that you'll be notified every time we go live. Every time we go live, man. So every Wednesday we come together for a wellness check. That's basically what's happening. A wellness check, and we've been talking about various things over the course of the last couple months in terms of how we can get well mentally, physically, and spiritually. But after talking about it for a couple months, I kind of want to pause for a moment and maybe kind of deal with this real quick, and we'll talk about it. I'm gonna put something up on the screen, and then we'll have a conversation around it. Is that all right with everybody? All right. So let me get this up real quick. All right. So this is a book I kind of been reading a little bit, but let me just read what it says. It says, here's why this matters for change. When people try to change, they're usually tinkering with behaviors that have become automatic. And changing those behaviors requires careful supervision, basically, of themselves. The bigger the change you're suggesting, the more it will sap people's self control. And when people exhaust their self control, what they're exhausting are the mental muscles needed to think creatively, to focus, to inhibit their impulses, and to persist in the face of their frustrations. Let me pull up the rest of this real quick. It's not where I need it to be. Okay, or failure. In other words, they're exhausting precisely the mental muscles needed to make a big change. So when you hear people say that change is hard because people are lazy or resistant to change, that's not really correct. That's flat out wrong according to this book. In fact, the opposite is true. Change is hard because people wear themselves out trying to change. And that's the second surprise about change. What looks like laziness is actually exhaustion. Let me say that again. In other words, they're exhausting precisely the mental muscles needed to make a big change. So when you hear people say that change is hard because people are lazy or resistant to change, that's flat wrong. In fact, the opposite is true. Change is hard because people wear themselves out. And that's the second surprise about change. What looks like laziness is often exhaustion. Let's talk about that a little bit. I'm gonna get out of the share screen. Let's talk about that a little bit.
I I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, just on exactly, right? Just on the surface, right? We've been given all of these
Honestly,
about how to change and, uh, as it relates to, what we're eating, how we're thinking, how we're navigating our lives. But this particular author of this book says that many of our patterns have in fact become automatic. What they say in weightlifting, they say what you have to do is train the muscle so that the muscle now will react to muscle memory.
yeah.
In other words, it kind of becomes automatic. it's similar to, you ever had one of those nights when you got in the car, you were so tired, and you drove home, but you don't know how you got there. You
Yep.
look up and you're like, man, I'm in the parking lot. Now some of y'all got there because y'all was as Snoop Dogg said, uh, yeah, leaning back, sipping on, smoking on some Indo, sipping on gin and juice. You just had one of them nights, right? Don't look at me strange. We've all had nights like that. Nights like this, I wish. Yeah. But some of our attitudes, some of our actions have become so automatic in our lives that when we dare, if you will, to try to change them, it's like exhaustion because now you're no longer on automatic, right? You are in fact beginning to think about what you're doing. You're thinking about what you're eating. You go into the grocery store where you didn't think about it before. You just grab stuff, threw it in the basket. But now you looking at the box and you looking at actually what the ingredients are or how many calories that's there. And so while we, have these conversations about why it's important to get well, we're giving you tips on how to get well. Um, it would not be right for us to not help you to understand that in the process of trying to change, it feels like exhaustion. It can in fact wear you down. It's the old adage, right? Hey, everybody, we're going to fast for 12 days. And for the first 5 days, you so consumed with what can I eat, what can I not eat, that at some point, and sometimes it can become overwhelming because your body has been on automatic, right? That you can pick up, put something in your mouth at any time, at any moment, at any change. And so now to say, whoa, wait a minute, I'm fasting. I can't eat this at this moment. You're no longer operating, if you will, um, from automatic responses. You're actually thinking about it. And if you're not careful, again, it can overwhelm you. Sonia, what would you say to that? What's your thoughts on that?
I think that um, it's true, but then you have to learn to dissect it too. I don't really, I don't understand the need for change. And the reason why I say that is because when I was calling myself trying to change, I wore myself out exactly that. So I believe more so in with this wellness thing that I believe in so wholeheartedly. It just calls your awareness. I don't think anybody has to change. You just have to get quiet and listen so you can call your awareness back to what you already know because we come fully equipped. So we have to take care of a thing. We can't the automatic behaviors, the learned behaviors, the belief systems. If you think that that snicker is going to fall off of you like the commercial on TV, then, we need to talk about some other things. But changing just to me, I would interpret it now in this mindset, just calling your awareness so you can get back to you. Because I think when we try to be what we think we're supposed to be, that's where that ugly changes. And so when we're trying to get back to ourselves and more relaxed self and not maybe not so pensive or so spiritual or so religious or you know what I'm saying? Whatever your change could be, even if it is just changing your diet, it's just discipline, number one, and awareness.
Message.
Yeah, but no, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. Oftentimes, I use the terminology, quit trying to do and just be, right? But again, but again, you know, um, and while we understand that and while we communicate that, right? But the reality is most of us, when we're trying to figure out anything, you know, when I'm going to the gym and prior to going to the gym or anything, I wasn't thinking about anything, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm just being, right? But now I set my mind to say, "Hey, man, I need to get in shape," right? So that does bring on all of these other things, right? Okay, what time am I gonna go to the gym? What am I gonna do when I get to the gym? How long am I gonna be at the gym? You understand what I'm saying? Um, what type of supplements do I need to now be taking when I go to the gym? And so I think your point is well taken, right? In order to move or to become fully who you believe that you already are, I still believe that we yet go through these processes where we are telling ourselves we need to be something else in the course of discovering that who we are is enough. Is that you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think in the course of that, and so sometimes people looking on the outside, they'll look at you and they'll be like, "Man, what's going on with you?" or whatever. And it's really, and sometimes you'll say, "Man, I'm in thought" or whatever, but really it's exhaustion because you are looking at your life and you are thinking about, man, where do I need to be? How do I need to get there? What are the steps to get there? And I think the larger argument that I'm making is that change, if we're going to use that terminology, or even just being who you are, right? If that's for the sake of this conversation, being who you are, that's not as easy as saying that. You know what I
For
mean? So
sure.
I think there's challenges on both ends, right? So I'll say it like this, right? As I'm trying to get back to the place of being who I believe that I am, there are all these kind of challenges that come up, right? In the course of me discovering that, right? Doing that hard work, right? And asking myself, man, what is going on with you? You know, how do you get to a place? And then when you finally get to the place of being, the reality is everybody may not be happy when you get,
And then that's the scary part.
yeah.
I think that's where the hard comes in. A lot of times when you want to change or you want to elevate or do make any alterations, when you make the decision that you just don't want to do what you did yesterday, losing people or letting people go, I think that's one of the scariest things in today's day. Well, I know for me, that's one of my I was gonna say crutches, maybe an excuse because that's just what I heard in my head. But I think we get to a point where we decide where that rubber meets the road too. But I totally think losing people is one of the scariest things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, 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 no. Losing people, losing things, right? Losing people,
Yeah.
losing things. All of that kind of plays a role in our thinking.
But I don't think we often have freedom to say it though. You know what I mean? Freedom to say that though we don't operate in circles where we can, well, in my experience, I can only talk for me, where we can freely say, hey, I want to do this, but you know what I'm saying? And then coax somebody through. But I thought I interrupted you, so I'm sorry because I started
No, no, no.
ranting.
You didn't interrupt anything. I just popped something up on the screen where it says the best things in life aren't things, right? Right. The best things in life aren't things, but too often we think that things are the best
Yeah.
thing, right? The best things in life. And so I think for my purpose, and again, this isn't a space where you have to agree with me totally. I think that's why we're having this conversation, right? But
Yeah.
I think that too often in our quest to change, we don't make those course corrects because it does become exhausting, right? It does become exhausting because um, I want to just be, but sometimes my perception of just being is not the perception that I have for myself.
I'm listening. I just had a thought. So I
You know
need
what
to
I
write
mean?
it down so I don't forget it.
I end up
Absolutely.
I end up I end up doing what? What do I end up doing? I end up getting on the wheel, like the hamster on the wheel. I'm forever running, but I'm not getting anywhere,
Yeah.
right? In pursuit of this abstract notion of what it is I need to be moving to or moving in. And while I believe that God gives us all purpose, um, passion, um, a place, I do believe there is these quantum leaps that happen that draws us into that space. And so I would argue that change may be a good word because I don't believe who I was when I was 12 is who I am now. I just don't believe that in terms of maturity, in terms of understanding. I think when I was 12, to your point, I was just trying to be 12, yet with the struggles and everything. But if I was still yet thinking like a 12-year-old at my current age, that wouldn't be good. You know what I mean?
Right. Hmm.
That wouldn't be good. So what's your thoughts? I mean,
I have to take it back a little bit because you said that you believe that we all have purpose and we all have, um, what else did you say? Purpose in something else.
I said we all have a purpose. We all have a place.
Yeah,
Um,
that right there. The having a place. Sometimes, sometimes I don't think even as an adult that is functioning, fully functioning in the world, knows what the purpose is, or sometimes they feel like they don't have a place. So how do you speak to that? Because I would lump that in with the exhaustion when you're uncovering what it is that you want to do or what you want to pursue, but then you still have all these emotions from these experiences. I know for me, that was one thing that I struggled with, the purpose and
mhm.
the place. And I'm sure you remember I've asked a million and one different ways. And, you know, you know how it goes.
So there is a book, Seth Godin. I recommend. I normally don't recommend books, but y'all Instagram Seth Godin and tell him that I talked about his book. Seth Godin has a book entitled Tribes, and in his book, what he's talking about is most of us come up, if you will, kind of through, for lack of a better terms, a factory mindset. In other words, um, factory workers go into a factory and they do the same thing every day. They do the same thing every day. They do the same thing every day. And so they have a factory mindset. It's hard for them to get outside of the bubble. A lot of folks, hard for them to get outside of the bubble. It's hard for them to stretch their imagination and their thinking because uh, the systems and the culture that has been around us has trained us to think with a factory mindset. I go to work, I'm going to do the same thing, everything. I'm going to pick up the peg, put it in the circle, kind of thing, right? But now he argues with the advent of internet and all of these particular things, um, you're not regulated to just be thinking within the space of factory work. I mean, factory mentality, because a factory mentality kind of blinds everybody into not unity, but uniformity,
Mm.
right? But he says now with the advent of the internet and social media and such things as that you now have the opportunity through all of these avenues to find your tribe. That's another word for purpose. That you're not regulated. So you're not regulated to look for your tribe within a 3-block radius like we used to have to do that, right? Um, Now, because the world is open to you, you can find your tribe anywhere in the world just by the click of a button. So when I say we all have a place, I believe that because there is somebody who believes in the same things that I believe in, who desire to walk in the same things that I walk in, and that's there for me, that I can build my tribe around, that I can walk in my purpose around, and I'm no longer just regulated to the folk that I know within a 3-block radius. So when I hear you, when you're saying you're trying to find your purpose and you're trying to find your place, oftentimes we think about that within the context or the construct of our limited connectivity or um, limited connectivity around the ones who we live around or who we kind of see on a day-to-day basis, who may not be our tribe. You understand what I'm saying? But we're trying to fit into that tribe because that's the only space that we've known up until this point, if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you? Does that make
Mhm.
sense to everybody in the space? And so now here, I can be talking to you. We can be having conversations. Developing this space called, Wellness Wednesday, and you don't have to be in my zip code, right? And we're bringing others into our quote unquote tribe who are not in our zip code. Nina Holmes, it's not in my zip code. Life Dance is not in my zip code, and others who come in who kind of see the world and see life in a similar fashion to you. And so now you all grow in your purpose together versus the limited zip code mentality or factory mentality that most of us was raised up on, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And so I would argue this is why it becomes very difficult for people to even leave home to a certain extent, right? Because of the connection in the tribe. And most of us who leave home understand that there is a bigger purpose or greater purpose for me beyond just my zip.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Can you
absolutely.
relate to that? Does that make sense?
I can. Just the fact, I mean, just the leaving in and of itself, that was a huge leap. I wanted to leave, but the connection, and my mother wasn't trying to hear it. So, sometimes you just have to go ahead and forge ahead because you hear something, you feel something. I'm sorry.
No, you
Oh,
talking.
I
Go
thought
ahead.
you said something. I'm so sorry. But sometimes you just feel like you just have to go somewhere. I can't be here. This just isn't working. And, like you said, finding a tribe. So slowly but surely, I'm peeking out and drawing a few things to me. And it feels really, really good. But sometimes you do have to absolutely step back,
So let's
reassess.
pick that up. Let's pick that up, right? Let's pick that up. Let's use you as a generic case study, right? So
Okay.
even as you're discovering this, right, and you are excited about it, right? You just mentioned your mother's like, I don't want you going to. There's a level of exhaustion that comes with that,
Yeah,
right? So in
sure.
order to make that change, you still have these kind of close connections who are pulling on you, saying, "You ain't got to go nowhere, baby.
Yes.
You
Just like
got to
that,
leave
too.
way over there, right?" And you feel what I'm saying?
Yes.
You feel the weight of that, and that can be what
Hard.
exhausting because you don't want to hurt,
Exhausting.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You want everybody to celebrate, um, your discovery or your recognition of your purpose, while understanding that everybody not won't celebrate it, not because they're not happy for you, but because they're thinking about how your decision will affect them
Yeah.
and what they may be losing instead of what you're gaining.
Right, because I am a big deal. So, he misses me.
Somebody need to drop some stars right there because I just dropped a big nugget for y'all, and some of y'all just missed it. Some of y'all missed it tonight. Y'all, yeah, you just missed it. You know, you feel what I'm saying? Life dance, life dance. It's all good. We having a conversation. We're going to give folk a chance to pop in later on. Now, this is my show, not your show. You understand? This is my show, not your show. I said we're gonna give people a chance to ask their comments at the end. You can drop them in the comments section and talk. We ain't mad at. I see your quotes. I see you. I see your conversation. We gonna get to them. He said, "Y'all just talking amongst yourself. Bye." Be like that sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Make sure you hit those hearts and those likes if you don't mind. We certainly will appreciate it.
Say what?
Yeah, and Scott, thank you. You said life at the end they ask questions. There you go. Thank you, Ann Scott. We appreciate you. You know what I mean? We appreciate you. So how do we manage that, right? How do we manage that level of, again, for lack of better term, that frustration that we might feel as we are in process? That's maybe a better word than change. As we are in process, how do we do it?
Be easy with yourself. I think the biggest thing about, like you said, being in process, which I think is so appropriate, it's just taking time and being easy with yourself. You have to give yourself permission, and we talked about this before. You got to give yourself permission to make a decision that's going to work for you. Because there's nothing new under the sun. So if it's not working for you and you're the one that's chasing after this change, does this temptation or deflection or distraction, does it enhance me? I don't got no time right now for nothing that doesn't enhance me spiritually or interrupt my rest or anything else, even if it comes down to food. So just getting intentional with yourself, I would say.
Mm-hmm. So how did you get there?
How did I get there? Ooh, you talking to me.
How do you get there? See, again,
yeah.
Today is about understanding that this movement and process change, however you want to look at it, is not easy. And so as I sit on this side, I can say, man, listen, I'm good now. I'm clear with who I am. I'm clear with what I need to be doing and where I'm going. But that's the testimony. You follow what I'm saying? But what they say in church, people, they see your glory, but they don't know the story. You feel what I'm saying? And so I think today what I'm trying to get people to understand, and we go back to this term, that this hard work is hard work. And so I would argue, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, just based on your last statement and everything, it's good to be there now. But how did I get there? Or how did you get there?
So I had to disconnect. I've always been a runner. And I've looked at that negatively forever. But that's been the best thing for me. And I wouldn't even consider it really running, because typically you think running and trying to get away from something. Mm-hmm. I really had to just disconnect, and I'm wonderful at it. I will go off the grid and get quiet with myself. That's always been my thing. I don't know if it's just because I was an only child for so long or whatever, but I love my solace. I love my alone time. And that's the only way that I could, tap back into my rhythm. So I had to disconnect. But in that process, my fear was that I stayed in isolation a little bit too long. So I'm trying to challenge myself and increase my discipline. But yeah.
So say that last part. I think you said something along the line. You thought that you stayed, I don't want to use the word fear, but you thought that you stayed in isolation too long. Can you kind of
starting to go around people and you feel out of place, or you feel like you can't catch up to the conversation. And when you're in isolation, you're not really talking to anybody or bouncing any ideas off, or not getting anything other than just you. You can tend to step back into that shell and not understand what's going on around you. No, it's not that you're weird or you're out of place. It's that you've let that very thing go, and you shouldn't be there. Move on. It's time to pack up. Nope. Get your pencils. Get your Rubik's cube. Come on. Time to go. So
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes we can do that. I feel like, you know, quite honestly for me, like right now, everybody, using that kind of slogan, we outside. But the truth of the matter is I'm happy inside. You know what I mean?
yes,
And I know um while I'm finding peace in it, you understand what I'm saying? I'm also understanding that that it is causing a level of frustration maybe for others. You understand what I'm saying? Um, while I don't necessarily feel like I need to be around a whole bunch of people all the time or whatever, but I know even in our limited circles, I know it's a challenge for some folks because they want to be, around people all the time, and I just don't. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
so I'm wrestling through that. Like, what does that mean? Um, and I don't know if it's just me getting older, my maturity, but I just spent so many years being everywhere that it just feels good not to have to go anywhere
yeah,
that I don't want to go to. You feel what I'm saying? And so I think
for
that's just
sure.
a me. Um,
I think so too.
yeah.
But what's wrong with it being just a me thing? You know what I mean?
I'm
Sometimes
not
we
saying
have to. I'm not saying that you're saying anything is wrong with it, but I mean, for on any side of it, sometimes we got to do what we got to do.
yeah, no, I don't think, truthfully, I'm at the place where I try not to operate within these binary kind of thought processes of um, uh, just to use the terminology right or wrong, specifically as it relates to individuals, right?
Yeah,
And so people have to figure out um, what works best for them. I believe in the space that I operate in, that there is a path forward that I believe that is good for everybody. You understand what I'm saying? I'm clear about that. But people have to find their way in that. And so
yes,
all I do is just offer a guide. But at the end of the day, those decisions, individuals have to make them. And then I'm not mad at those decisions. That's basically, and I think that's a level of maturity um, that has come with change because there were days of frustration when you are believing you're doing everything, you know, that you're called to do as it relates to purpose, and folk are just still stagnant, just the most frustrating thing in the world. But then I had to come to the place where I'm like, listen, I'm just a guy, but at the end of the day, you have to take those steps, right? You have to make that turn. You have to have that aha moment. You have to
Say what?
you have to get to the place of uh, moving through that frustration of what it means to change and to move in purpose, right?
show some
And
signs.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so now I'm so comfortable within the construct of you know, I'm good. I don't really trip that much. You know what I mean? And Scott said, we on the same page. That must be that inside thing. And like to be on the inside,
You
you
already
know,
know she love it.
right? Right. And so, but in these last few minutes together, I think I try to be a realist now. And and I guess my perspective and my point of view is that change is hard. Whether it's letting go of something or someone, whether it's trying to course correct and get off of a path that you were on and try to get onto another path, whether you are making these decisions in terms of what is my next step in life, or do I take this next job, or do I move forward in this particular relationship. All of those moments, if you will, are challenging. And why? Because we only have two set in stone dates, right? We have the day that we are born, and we have the day that we die. And what do we have in between? We just have the dash,
Yep.
right? And the dash con- um, consists of all of these ebbs and flows of life, right? All of these feelings, um, all of this pain, all of this joy, all of this heartache and headache, but then also all of this happiness. All of these decisions uh, that have consequences, and all of these decisions that I'm afraid to make. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All of this is in motion, right? And so if we're going to really be trying to get people to a place of wellness, I just want them to understand that this dash is deep. All of these things happen within the space of this dash. And so to get to the place that I am in life, I had to travel through some dark moments. It wasn't, I feel good about this. You understand what I'm saying? I'm sitting
Yeah.
on the other end, I'm smiling a lot. I'm grateful, but to get to that place, it was tough. It was exhausting. It was, all of those things because I really had to do uh, that hard work, which is really the hard work. What's your final thoughts on that tonight?
My final thought is if you are at a place and you are feeling exhausted, get rest. But get up and be prepared to fight tomorrow because the fight still goes on. So take your rest, but get up.
Yeah, that's
I
good.
also want to point folks to another direction. This is just me, and that when I come back next week, God willing, and the creek don't rise, I will have some more information for you. But iron, have your iron levels checked. That's one thing that I want to talk about, the most common mineral
Mhm.
deficiency. So I hope folks come back. Iron.
All right, we'll talk about that on next week. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, so hey, we've come to the end of Wellness Wednesday. Well, not really the end, but I've I've dropped the link in the comments. So if you want to pop in and talk for a few minutes to us, that's cool. Ask a question and anything like that um, about what we discussed, you can do that at this point, or you can drop it in the comment section. Any questions that you have for us, me, and Leanna at this time. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments section, or I sent you the link. You can just click on the link and come on in.
So while you're waiting for folks to come on, I just want to say this, that this platform is still very new, and Pastor is, I reached out to him to ask him to mentor and guide me because this is something, I don't know if we've already talked about this, it feels like I have. So I know sometimes it may seem like it may be slow paced to someone else, or they may be coming and looking for a gimmick, but this is a nurturing space. This is a safe space. This is a growing space, and I trust Rev with me. So thank you for the platform.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, we working in collaboration, right? Collaboration.
Yeah,
Don't see no comments or anything. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're trying to grow together, get well together, and I think that's the purpose of Wellness Wednesday, right? Just to
yeah,
fill space, try to connect with one another, talk about various things. Some days it may be, our spirituality. Some days it just may be our mental health. Some days it may be our physical. Some days it's just like tonight. You're just kind of talking about the struggle of trying to get to the place of wellness and what is required of that. Um, and hey, we want you to be a part of that conversation. So we did drop the link in the comments section. I see we don't got any takers on tonight. No comments on tonight. I see we don't have any of that on tonight from anybody. I know Life Dance would have had some comments, but she got frustrated. This is what I tell people all the time. You leave too quick before the miracle comes.
yeah.
You know
Just
what I
before
mean?
the gifts come out.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So I'm gonna drop it right there. There's the link. You can find it if you want to pop in or whatever real quick. I enjoy what did Ann says. I enjoy and learn a lot from you both every week. All right, all right. Who
Hey,
else is
girl.
in?
Hey.
Everybody is in the space. All right, so let's go out this way. Let's see if I can pull this up real quick. Let me get this right. All right.
I love God. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? I love God. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? I don't think that I could live no other way. Truth be told, I'm living now on an A. Now I done seen them blessings in the modern day. The Lord I serve, He give them to me every day. I'm forgiven, I'm forgiven. See, I done been forgiven, now I'm living. And when I say I love, I mean it. Cause none of this mean nothing if He come in a business. I love God. You love God.
Hey, we got to get out of here. Y'all know what it is. It's Wellness Wednesday. I'm your host, Wade. Also, Capital Leanna Winstead. It's been a pleasure hanging out with each and every one of you. Make sure that you tap in, tune in. We're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night at 8 p.m. Hey, we love y'all so much. Make sure you get connected over there to YouTube. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on TikTok and all of that good stuff. Make sure you get connected. Come on, bounce with me a little while.
You know it's something fun, it ain't nobody else. You got me talking strong and I ain't rich, I'm talking well. See, I'm forgiving, I'm forgiving.
Hey.
See, I done been forgiven, now I'm living. And when I say I love, I mean it. But
We out of here.
none
Love
of it
y'all.
nothing if you come in a
Hey.
message. I love God. You love God? What's wrong with you? I love God. You love God? What's wrong with you?